Few vehicles are in a class of their own. This one is. The Jeep Wrangler, a descendant of the original Willys, has served in the military, hauled hikers to the great outdoors, and schlepped families through the suburbs in its 7+ decades of existence. The 2018 JL is the new classic.
It doesn't look much different than the outgoing model, and that's a good thing because this just might be the most legendary shape in automotive design history. It is about as all new as a vehicle gets, though, right down to the frame rails.
I was a guest of Jeep as they introduced the JL to the automotive press in Tucson, Arizona. As before, Wrangler is available in 2- and 4-door models. With the most seat time in 4 doors, that's my focus.
This product made its name for being the go anywhere, do anything, I can go anywhere off-road. And we have to maintain that. And that's
the JK's Sunrider top was cumbersome to open. The JL's is no Miata, but Mark Allen, head of Jeep Design, proves that the new one is significantly easier with no zippers to deal with. A signature Wrangler feature not found on any crossover is a foldable windshield. Once again, the engineers figured out a way to simplify it. Getting bugs stuck in your teeth is much easier now. And in certain models, it's easy to remove these side windows. As before, the doors can be removed. The right tool size is stamped into the hinge in case the ones provided get lost. Misplace the door hardware and it's your own fault since the cargo hold has a place for everything, so everything's in its place.
Fun fact, an interior designer ended up dropping the door when taking it off because he couldn't find a good way to hang onto it, so he designed a handhold into it so you won't do the same thing.
The best thing about Jeep events is the chance to put these mountain goats through their paces.
Whoa, okay.
But first, a look at on-road prowess because, let's face it, that's where most Jeep miles are logged. To get to the rocky off-road course, we drove for about an hour and a half on paved roads at different speeds. I drove the mid-level V6 Sahara model, positioned 1 rung up from the base Sport. Structural rigidity improves by 18%.
Ride quality has definitely been improved. This is actually a fairly comfortable vehicle now. And yes, there is some wind noise, even though that has been improved. But really, what are you going to do? This thing is about as aerodynamic as a house.
While a Grand Cherokee or any crossover will be more comfortable for families, owners using Wranglers as a daily driver will clearly notice that the steering response and on-center feel is better. It tracks down the road more confidently. The interior is probably quieter too, but noise varies depending on soft and hard tops. For what it's worth, the trip computer read 26 miles per gallon when cruising. A 3-liter V6 diesel engine is planned for calendar year 2019. JL deliveries begin with the 3.6-liter Pentastar V6. It has 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. Available in early 2018 is something new, a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder with 270 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque.
And with this system is actually mated with a mild hybrid system. So this is our e-torque system. It's a 48-volt system. Our alternator has basically got put on steroids and grown to what we'll call a motor generator unit.
All Wranglers get keyless ignition now. The 2-liter hybrid, here in a Rubicon model, runs exclusively with an 8-speed automatic with an especially silky lever feel. The V6 can be had with a new 6-speed manual. Sway bars can be disconnected and axles locked. The transfer case info is front and center in the tachometer cluster.
You can pull the lever, you can go 2-wheel, 4 high, neutral, 4 low. But also in Sahara, we are introducing a full-time system now as well. Still manual grab with that, so you'll be able to pull. You have 2-wheel, but now we're giving the customer the option to put it into a 4-auto position.
All right, time to do what Wranglers are best at.
Straight at me.
A crew from Jeep Jamboree created a surprisingly tough course in the desert to show what this thing is capable of doing.
I don't think this translates to camera.
It doesn't.
How steep that is.
It doesn't.
That's intimidating. And I've done this before.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Jeez.
Here, Jeep wisely puts us in off-road oriented Rubicons with 33-inch tires designed to handle this terrain. In addition to the new structure, there are next generation Dana axles, front and rear, that are stronger and slightly wider, which I appreciate right now.
You kind of feel like you're going to roll over at this point.
The wheelbase is 2.5 inches longer on 4 doors, but the turning radius is down by a foot. Approach, departure, and breakover angles have all been improved.
Seriously. Oh God, I'm looking at nothing but sky.
Rubicon's ground clearance is 10.8 inches. Skid plates are everywhere to protect vital components.
Never mind the sound.
That's all right. Skid plate.
That's what skid plates are for, right?
Yeah. Skidding off the rocks.
Rubicon's fenders are mounted higher than Sport and Sahara for tire and suspension clearance. Wrangler covers rocks that are difficult to walk over.
I'm not breathing. I should breathe.
The next spotter's coming around right there.
Okay, thanks, man.
Yeah.
I need the spotters. Everybody needs spotters.
Admittedly, I am not a grizzled off-road veteran, but the journalists on this event that are impressed with both the severity of the course and the capability of this Jeep. Safe to say, you won't be seeing CRVs or RAV4s crawling around in a situation like this.
Okay, should I go back into first gear?
Yeah, you can go into first gear. It's perfect crawl mode.
Okay.
Rubicon has more throttle finesse with a 4-to-1 low gear ratio and an available track lock rear limited slip differential, so if you intend to tackle stuff like this, it's the model to buy. Weight is down by some 200 pounds, partly because there's more aluminum in the fenders and door skins.
Right on. Good driving.
That's amazing.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Right on. Good to hear.
It's the only word to use. Amazing.
Turning attention from keeping the Jeep dent-free and towards the interior, it also gets an upgrade. This is the Rubicon cabin. Everything looks and feels like hardware. The designers are proud that there are no controls shared with other FCA products. Your fingers touch pure Jeep buttons and knobs. Cosmetic touches are attractive, the gauge cluster offers off-roading info, and Wrangler is the first vehicle I've seen that future-proofs electronics with the new USB-C connection. There are 4 different ways to top a Wrangler. The easiest way to open the ceiling is the Sky One-Touch Power Roof that gives everyone a great view. Accessories will be easy to hook up. There are grab handles and storage slots all throughout the space, though the glove box is pretty small. The 4th generation Uconnect interface continues to be among the best in the biz, with a clear layout, snappy response, and pinch and zoom ability. It's available in 7 and 8.4-inch screen sizes with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Plus, there's a rear view that is very handy on the trail and the parking lot. The camera is mounted on the spare, and so is the Chimsel, which adjusts if you put a larger spare on the back.
The tailgate also gets an aluminum skin, plus the opening is wider now. If you think I'm going to be doing the TP trunk test, really? In the middle of nowhere?
About all I have for reference is my camera case and a medium-sized duffel. Keep in mind that the 2-doors cargo hold is much smaller. The door has a track to mount hooks and other accessories, and really, the Jeep engineers didn't miss a trick back here, including headrests that drop to improve visibility. There's a good amount of space to haul mountain bikes and a lot of camping gear if it's a couple heading to the trailhead.
4-door Wranglers are often pressed into family duty, and since the wheelbase has been lengthened, this space has been improved. The cushions are a little bit short, but knee and foot room, pretty generous.
There are new rear vents, passengers will be more comfortable, plenty of power outlet options. Between the mesh, bag hooks, and pockets, organization won't be a problem. There's a folding armrest for the first time. Wrangler's ride height is on the higher side, so getting in will be a chore for some, but most adults should be fine. Jeep doesn't like the term Easter egg, but there are a lot of them scattered all over the vehicle. I especially like the startup screen. Aw, isn't that cute? For aerodynamics, yeah, that's a consideration, even on a Wrangler. The grille was laid back just a bit on the top half, and like a couple of the previous generations, the headlights impinge on one of the 7 slots. Engineers claim that the windshield didn't need to be raked back much to hit the sweet spot of aero efficiency. The Sport model now rides a little lower to move through the air easier, which ekes out a slightly better corporate fuel efficiency average. Plenty of owners modify their Wranglers and will hike them up if need be. That brings me to price. While adding a lot of standard equipment, Wrangler is more expensive now, and not just a smidge. A two-door Sport begins at about $27,300 with destination. Add a little bit more than 10 grand if you want it in rock-crawling Rubicon trim. A four-door Sahara model starts near $38,000, and then of course there's optional equipment. Across the board, it's generally a hike of over 2 grand. The longer wheelbase, added refinement, and ease of use make Wrangler a better everyday companion now. Its image and capability are critical for representing what the Jeep brand stands for. This hardcore, go-anywhere machine can be built 1,000 different ways from basic to plush, but it singularly stands in a class of its own. Now, for those of you looking for detailed criticism of the Wrangler, sorry, I spent only 8 hours or so in it, on top of talking to engineers and photographing it in some pretty challenging conditions. I've pointed out what I think are the few quibbles that I could find, and most of those are expected considering that this is oriented for off-roading. Wish you could all experience what I did. Most people, even Wrangler owners, will never point their vehicles to topography this severe. Special thanks to the Jeep Jamboree crew that set up this awesome course.
I've saved the biggest surprise for last. For the faithful, Jeep is building a special stripped-down Heritage model. Seriously?
This is actually the first civilian Jeep model made, the CJ2A. It's from FCA's Heritage Center. Production started just before World War II ended in 1945, destined for farms and light industry. A couple things different from the enlisted models. The spare is on the side because it has a foldable tailgate, where Army Jeeps had a fixed back end. Military units had a 9-slot grille. The CJ2A is where the trademark 7 slots began because of the government's flush headlight requirements. It's also the first time the intrusion happened. Not a lot of safety features, or any really. The driver sits on top of the gas tank, and with no seatbelts, I don't want to think about even a low-speed impact and a steering wheel hub like this. Most people won't even know how to drive it. We've come a long way, people.
Obviously, things were a little less deluxe back then, and people must have been smaller because I have the seat all the way back. That's Driven. I'm Tom Volk.